I think all our hard work last year did pay off in winning the national title, and it just motivated us more this year to push even harder to fly solo.
Winning a second national title would be amazing because being a champion feels awesome, so doing it again would just be another step to success.
Our goal this year is to get back to nationals, and when we do, is to win it alone.
The goal of all who have come to Norman: win a Big 12 title, advance to the Nationals, and eventually be crowned champion. The Oklahoma women accomplished that last season, but can they make it 2 in a row? As we welcome you to the 2015 Big 12 Gymnastics Championships from Norman. Hello again, everybody. Along with Olympian John Roethlisberger, I'm Ron Thula. Now, John, Oklahoma going after an unprecedented 4th consecutive Big 12 title. Big favorite, but that doesn't mean everybody is handing them the crown tonight.
No, absolutely not. It's gymnastics and anything can happen, but Goliath is in the house, and Goliath is called Oklahoma. #1 in the country all season. At one point, they were ranked #1 on every single event. But the coaches from West Virginia and from Iowa State know that if Iowa makes a mistake, or if Oklahoma makes a mistake, they need to be ready to go, and their team needs to start hitting routines if they want to have a chance.
Well, the Sooners are very deep. In fact, they have at least 2 represented in the top 20 in every event in the NCAA, with the exception of all-around. But it all starts with Haley Skaman.
Yeah, Haley Skaman is one of their top on their team on her 3 events, but call them the Dave Matthews Band of gymnastics. All their athletes on every single event are one of the best at what they do. Haley Skaman can flat out win the floor and the vault here tonight, and also at the NCAA championships coming up later this season. But they've got a lot of young, great gymnasts as well. Brenna Dowell comes in as a freshman, and let's just say she's adjusted well. Already scored a 10.0 on the bars, and she adds a lot of that depth that just makes it daunting for everybody else in the country.
Well, we mentioned the all-around because that title is up for grabs, and it could come down to the people who finished 1 or 2nd and 3rd last season.
Yeah, and that's Caitlin Brown from Iowa State. She finished 2nd in the all-around last year at this competition, and she is the leader of that team, a very young team, and she's the only senior on that squad, and she's having arguably the best season of her entire career. For West Virginia, Dea Haley finished 3rd in the all-around last year, and if West Virginia wants to move up from that 3rd spot where they've finished the last 2 years, it's going to ride heavily on this young lady, and she's got a great chance to win that all-around as well.
Well, we mentioned that Oklahoma's the overwhelming favorite, but nobody on Oklahoma's team is taking it for granted, especially their coach. She's standing by with the 3rd member of our broadcast team, another Olympian. Here's Kelly Garrison-Funderburg.
Great. Thank you. I'm here with Coach Kindler. Coach, I know you've been practicing really hard with the landings. You know, it's a power event. It's your first event. How do you get the girls to train going big, but having the control on the landing?
Well, that's a funny question because it's hard to control a vault, like you said. But what we want them to do is come off the table very quickly so that their vault goes up, not back. And that helps them to land better. And we've been working very hard on our landings, so we're hoping that it all comes together today.
I'm sure it will. Good luck with the competition. We will be back right after this, live from the Lloyd Noble Center for the Big 12 Women's Gymnastics Championship.
Welcome back to the Lloyd Noble Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Glad you're with us today. Great crowd on hand. Let's get you started and see how things are going to stack up as far as the rotation goes. In that opening rotation, the balance beam will belong to Iowa State to kick things off. On the vault, it'll be the Oklahoma Sooners, and on the bars, the Mountaineers of West Virginia. And we are just about set to get underway.
Interesting part about that starting rotation is nobody chose to start an event which would make them end on balance beam, which I thought was very strategic, and probably the way I would choose it as well. If I could get rid of the balance beam altogether, I'd probably choose that.
Well, here's Oklahoma. They're going to kick things off, and starting out for Oklahoma, of course, they are the #4 team in the NCAA in the vault competition. And here's Charity Jones, just replaced Kara Loban in the starting lineup. She is from Miami, Oklahoma.
She is a great gymnast, and this just bodes well to how deep Oklahoma is. Charity Jones, a couple years ago, was the #1 level 10, arguably in the entire country. Came here, and now she's got a very small part. She's had some injuries, so in her defense, she's had some injuries, but hasn't really been a mainstay yet here. Oklahoma is #1 in the country. She starts off well, Yurchenko-style vault, which means they do a round off onto the board backwards, and And the landings are everything in women's gymnastics. We saw a hop there on that landing. Stuck landings Oklahoma has really been focusing on in the last couple weeks, especially. All these teams do it all year, but really they focused heavily in the last couple weeks.
KJ Kindler talked about it with us yesterday. Let's go over to the bars. West Virginia is on that. Here's Dea Haley, the senior out of Pasadena, Maryland. 3rd place in the all-around of the Big 12 last season. And she has had an impressive career, John. She has scored over 1,000 points in her career. You know, you're talking in basketball terms, 1,000 points, but this young lady has done that in gymnastics. Yeah, and she's an important cog to the West Virginia team, and to contribute that much over that many years, that's hard to do, and to get out there and do all around and do that week after week. Now, granted, she hasn't done that this year. She just got into the all around last week for the first time, but she's been a mainstay on the events. And again, we talked about how West Virginia not only wants to put up a good performance here, hopefully move up to at least 2nd in the Big 12 ahead of Iowa State, which would be a first for them. They also have the regional championships at stake. And talking to some of their coaches and administrators before this competition, if they score a 195-2 or better at this competition, we'll talk about what that means to do that. If they do that at this competition, they're guaranteed a spot at regionals. They're currently ranked 33rd in the country. The top 36 make it to a regional championship. From those regional championships, you qualify to the NCAA championship. So this is important for them. Obviously, they want to do well just for the sake of the Big 12 Conference Championship meet, but this is the bigger picture for them. Well, there's Coach Jason Butts in his 4th year standing next door. This is a program that has won over 700 meets coming into the Big 12 championships. They won 6 of their last 7, and the only loss in that span was number 11, Penn State. They're coming in on a roll, too. Season high last week, and you hope you can carry that into the postseason in the conference meet. Here we go. Well, she's led off the bars for most of her career, except for tonight, because Nicolette Svoboda led off the bars. She's doing 2nd place tonight. Nice start for Dea Haley. Not the most difficult routine you're going to see, but most of the routines you're seeing tonight do start from a 10, but the difficulty of those skills within that routine, you'll see a difference when you see Oklahoma, for example, later. But this is a good start. The handstands are important. We saw a cast handstand right there. Those turning skills need to hit a handstand, and then, of course, you want to nail that dismount. Well, still waiting for Haley's score. Svoboda started out for West Virginia with a 9.625. Let's go back over to the vault. Here is Brenna Dow, freshman out of Odessa, Missouri, for the Oklahoma Sooners. And you look at Brenna Dow, and the first thing I think of is the rich get richer. It's almost not fair to the other teams. Really? She comes in, and she's a world-class gymnast. And I don't mean to take away from the other gymnasts competing tonight, but when I say world-class, she's an elite gymnast. She competed for the U.S. national team. She was part of a world championship team before she came to Oklahoma. She was an alternate on that team. And for those of you who don't know, the U.S. women, they are dominant in the world. So for her to be a part of that team, it says something about her gymnastics. And here is Brenna Dow. She does a tougher vault. She does a 1.5 twist. Little hop on the landing. And now, again, the full twist and the 1.5 twist both have the same start value. And you're thinking to yourself, well, why do the 1.5 twist if you can get a 10 for the full twist? Right. But the perception, and I talked to the coaches from Oklahoma, and they said perception points make a difference, even if not all 10s are created equal, if that makes sense. And they want to get some perception points, and they're going to do it with a vault like this right here. Nicely done. Well, one of the things KJ Kindler was telling us, he said that her vaults are clean. They're showing great extension this year. The problem has been, as she talked to Kelly about it earlier, the little hop. And those little hops add up, and Oklahoma can get away with that here at the Big 12 championships and still win, but they absolutely cannot get away with that when they get to the NCAA championships if they want to have any hope of winning. Now we go to West Virginia on the bars. This is the junior from York, Pennsylvania, Lindsay Litton. Oh, and that's a big break right there. And that's too bad. I watched Lindsay warm up bars, and I thought, man, this girl can swing some bars. And that might have been the curse of winning warm-ups right there. She had a good warm-up, and things have fallen apart. She has 30 seconds to get back on the bars. A deduction for falling off the apparatus at half a point, so 0.5. So theoretically, the most that she could score at this point, if she hit perfectly, is a 9.5. Now, there's other deductions we saw in there as she was falling from the apparatus.
that the judges will absolutely take. Now, she's going to have to hustle up here a little bit, taking
a long time.
Yeah, a little bit too much of her sweet time, I feel like.
Well, just to update you on Dea Haley of West Virginia on the bar. She got a 9.650. Lindsay Litton will begin her event again.
This is important. The teams rather can't. That's a huge ganger. And that's what I saw in the warm-ups. That is a big release move. The teams can drop their lowest score on each event. So right now, they're going to hopefully drop Lindsay Litton's score, which means the rest of the girls are going to hit.
But you've got to tell the rest of the girls they've got to have outstanding performances.
It puts the pressure on the rest of the girls big time. And she made another mistake there at the end, too, which we saw her do a half turn. She was supposed to do a giant with a full turn right into that dismount. She didn't do it, so that's going to hurt her start value as well. That was a disaster right there, I'm going to be honest.
Let's go to Chase Capps, a sophomore out of Plano, Texas. Currently 15th in the NCAA on the vault. Dow, by the way, she got a 9.850.
Still looking for that stuck landing. Another full twist. There it is.
There it is.
Like a dart. And Chase Capps, she's ranked very highly on this event. Number 15, I believe, in the country.
She is.
On the vault. Showing why right there. And again, so many girls do the full twisting laid out Yurchenko in college. I mean, there's hundreds of them, literally. But the difference comes down to the form in the air and how well they land.
We swing back over to the bars. We're going to try to cover everything tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you that. Here is a freshman, Zakira Mohammed. Has a second place this year to beat versus New Hampshire, and she is one of the very talented freshmen for all three schools that we're going to be seeing tonight, especially Iowa State, which is probably one of the youngest teams in the country. But Mohammed, very powerful. They like this young lady.
They love this young lady, and they've gone as far as to say she might be one of the single most talented freshmen to ever walk in the gym at West Virginia, and they've had some good gymnasts there, and that bodes well for the future of West Virginia gymnastics.
And she's waiting for the rest of the scores to be put up. Waiting for Litton's score. That is yet to be put up. And that is what the holdup is.
And that's hard because Litton had some mistakes, and the more mistakes you have, the routine becomes that much harder to judge and takes a little bit longer, and that's why she's waiting. Big release. That's a Tkachev actually facing the opposite direction, which makes it tougher. Straddle back to the low bar. Those low to high bar and high bar to low bar exchanges are requirements. You're supposed to have 2 of those. Big double layout.
Wow.
And there you go. That's what you call stopping the bleeding in gymnastics. You go up after a miss, and you nail that routine, get things back on track, and hopefully can build from there.
We talk about a lot of times physical strength, but it takes a lot of mental strength, and we see it here from Mohammed.
And honestly, at this point of the year, these girls are in shape, and it's all about mental strength. Another look at the double layout. Pretty common dismount, but a hard dismount, even though a lot of girls seem to do it. It's a tough bar dismount, but worth a lot of points, especially when you nail it.
Well, we talked about it at the top of the show. Here is Haley Skaman, the junior out of Riverside, Illinois, currently ranked 3rd in the NCAA in this event.
Here you go. Hold on, because this is a big vault. Oh, and she takes the hop. Honestly, and this is going to sound so critical, but for somebody like Haley, that vault is so good. When she doesn't stick it, it feels like a miss. Because look, watch how she opens up right here. Pops off the table, watch right there. Flares it out a little bit. She can see that landing coming from about 6 feet in the air. And you know, she pumped her fist, but I guarantee you she got back to the bench and she was mad she didn't stick it.
And there is KJ Kindler, the head coach, 287 wins. The score for Skaman was 9.90.
You see Iowa State, that's head coach Jay Ronayne right there, pacing the floor. I think the coaches pace floor a little more when their team is on beam, and that's where Iowa State is right now.
And we're looking at Alex Marasco, the junior out of Omaha, Nebraska. Just getting set to stand up on the beam. You can see her top score this season, 9.875. Iowa State, 7 of their 16 gymnasts are freshmen. Most have never even been to the Big 12 championships. Coach Jay Ronayne was telling us yesterday, he goes, it's kind of a neat experience for him, and I thought that was a good take on it.
No, I think it's great for Iowa State that they are a young team. Obviously, when you get to the championship season, you like to have some veteran presence, but they're going to be strong down the road. We saw the coach Katie Minnesota giving Alex some last-minute pointers. They've got a great coaching staff. Katie was a former national team member, was an alternate to the '96 Olympic team, and also Kristen Maloney. She was a member of the 2000 Olympic team. She's on the coaching staff there. They won a bronze medal in Sydney, Australia.
Some credentials.
It is, and they have experience. They know what it's like to be out there, and that's very important when you're trying to convey to these girls, you know, the mental approach, not just the technique and the physical part of this, but they've been there, they've done it, and they know how to coach it.
Well, they've built quite a program in Ames, Iowa. We talk a lot about Hilton Magic when it comes to basketball, but it's also there for gymnastics. They bring record crowds, and Coach Jay's the one who really kind of built the program up. And here is Alex Marasco.
And our first look at the balance beam, and easily the toughest event in women's gymnastics, in my opinion. Every once in a while, you'll hear a girl say, "Oh, it's my favorite event," and my first reaction is, "You're lying to me." It can't be anybody's favorite event.
I've never heard that from anyone.
Nice acro series right there. Back handspring with one arm into a layout step out. That's a requirement on beam to have an acro series. Full turn. That again is a requirement as well, and it looks simple, but I tell you what, it's one of those sneaky skills that's so tough and so easy to give away tenths on. Put it this way, if it wasn't a requirement, there's not one girl standing there that would do it in their routine.
They'd all say pass.
Not worth it.
So far, a smooth routine. Coaches yesterday talking about the goal for all of them was to just stay on the beam during this competition. Especially Coach Ronay told us yesterday. He said, we have to stay on the beam.
And they've had some ups and downs on the beam this year, so I'm sure he's loving to see that routine right there. Very good. Not really too many visible errors, to be honest with you. Stuck the dismount. Clean throughout. Now the judges are going to be looking at extension in the leaps. Nice landing. An acro skill into the dismount raises the value of the bonus for that sequence. There's Coach Jay Renane and Kristen Maloney. You can see her back towards us. Olympic bronze medalist.
I'll tell you, the Iowa State coaching staff, some of the friendliest. It goes to all their sports. Always a joy to cover them. Still waiting for Marasco's score.
In talking about the ups and downs of Iowa State on the balance beam, you know, their high score this year is a 49, almost a 49.5, which is a great high score. And that high score is right up there with some of the best teams in the country, yet they rank down in the 30s on that event, and that tells you about the ups and downs that they have had. They need to get to the point where they can be more consistently in those 49s, and that's going to not just help their ranking on that event, but as a team overall, it's going to make a huge impact. So, you know, we talked to that coaching staff, and they've done some special things in the gym in the last week or two leading up to this to try to put a little pressure and get that little more out of their team on balance beam. They had some workouts where they had spent literally 2 hours on beam as a team, and that's why it's so important.
And he said that brought the focus. Let's update you on all the ball scores for Oklahoma. They finished as a team at 49.425. So they are complete of their first rotation as we swing it back over the beam.
And that's a good start for Oklahoma on vault. They would have liked to turn a couple of those 9.9s into 9.95s, maybe even a 10. But that score they got is within a 10th and a half or so of their high of the season, so not bad for them.
So here is Caitlin Brown, the senior out of Apple Valley, Minnesota. Oh, good. Oh, my.
That is just too bad, and that is so heartbreaking as a gymnast. When you go on beam first and you have a fall, it takes the wind out of your sails. And, you know, she's a veteran. She's a senior. She's the only senior on this team, and I know that she's going to rally, and she's all about the team. But unfortunately, that's probably going to put a serious dent, if not completely take away her chances in the all-around.
The coaches were telling us that this young lady has been performing at the highest level over the past couple of weeks. They were very proud of her.
And she's really the leader of this team, not just with her gymnastics, but she leads by example, and she is a team player. Despite her success as an individual, she doesn't want to go any further than her team goes. If she goes to nationals, she wants her team with her, and that's what you want in a leader.
Well, John, take us what she's thinking right now. We see the mistakes she made because she still has events to do. How do you block that out as a gymnast, saying that was a mistake right there, but you have to go on? How tough is that?
Well, she's fallen off beam before. So that's the biggest lesson she's going to take from this right now, is that she's fallen before. She knows how to regroup, and we saw the acro series right there. Just again, there's nothing egregious that you see. That, you know, she just gets a little off to one side, and that's all it takes on beam is you're 1 inch one way or 1 inch the other way, and you're going to fall. And that hurts Iowa State, not just for her in the all-around, but in the team competition. That's going to be a damaging miss.
Well, just waiting for her score on the beam. Disappointed, obviously, but there's still a lot to compete for.
There is a lot, and if they want to talk about that matchup with West Virginia had some mistakes too. So that battle for second place that we talked about, they're right in it. A lot of gymnastics yet to come.
Well, Kelly is standing by with Coach Jay Ronayne of Iowa State. Kelly.
Oh, I know you're so disappointed in what just happened, but you talked about giving your personal best. Tell me how you're going to motivate these girls to continue on for the rest of the competition.
Well, you know, that's what we're here for. And every time that they go out there, it's all about chasing your personal best. So even if you make a mistake, you still are in the hunt for your personal best. There's 4 events. There's not just one. So, you know, we've got a lot more in gymnastics to do.
Well, you mentioned that she is a leader for this team, and so you saw that as she got back up and finished her routine. How do you think that's going to fare for the whole team competition and her individually also?
Keep an eye on her for the next 3 events, and you'll see how tough she is. I mean, Caitlin is a very special competitor, so she's going to be lighting it up on the other 3 events because she's mad. She expects a lot from herself, so she's going to do it.
All right, thank you, and good luck for the rest of the competition. Back to you, Ron.
All right, thanks so much, Kelly. We look forward to seeing her and see how she responds, but the coach says she is tough. We will have our second rotation coming up on the other side of the break from Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma City, also home of the International Gymnastics Hall of Fame. You see some of the great names in the sport, including that young man. Mark Connor actually has a gymnastics center just up the road up I-35 from where we are right now. And his wife, Nadia Comaneci, also part of it. How about Shannon Miller, the pride of Edmond, Oklahoma, not too far from here, just north. And the great Olga Corbett. I tell you, that they look so young, and none of them have changed, including Bart, I got to admit.
I mean, they didn't show my picture, Ron. I mean, I thought our producer Mike would have photoshopped me in there somewhere. I mean, that's kind of insulting.
You know, I remember as I came back to Lloyd Noble, I remember when Paul Zert was the men's coach and Bart was competing here, and how they were so passionate about the sport. And then you have somebody like, you know, Bart do what he's done, and Shannon Miller. Very impressive how Oklahoma's kind of taken to gymnastics, I think.
Yeah, it's been that way for a long time. You know, the men's team, they're #1 in the country as well, and from everything I've heard, they're going to be hard to beat. Here you got the Oklahoma women's team doing the same thing. So I don't know when the last time both the men and the women have the national champions in the same school, but I'd like to look back because I don't know if that's ever happened.
Well, let's take a look at the second rotation because obviously there are 4 apparatus they go through, and the second rotation will stack up like this. Iowa State heads over to the floor exercise, the uneven bars. It'll be the Oklahoma Sooners, and on the balance beam, it'll be the Mountaineers of West Virginia. We're just a few moments away from that getting underway. So for Iowa State, you start out with the beam. Now you've got to go to the floor exercise. Can this be a mind-clearing event for you?
Absolutely. It's an event that generally, compared to beam, even compared to bars, you don't have as many mistakes typically. So they're going to go there, and we saw Caitlin Brown there trying to shake off that beam routine. You're going to go there and you're going to hit routines. And once you start hitting, no matter what the event is, hitting's contagious.
Right.
The same way missing is contagious. Take a basketball game. If your team's missing shots, it kind of spreads around to the rest of the team. You get a little bit tighter. But when you start hitting, it loosens you up, you get relaxed, and that's what's going to happen with Iowa State on floor. They're going to hit routines.
So we already heard Iowa State's coach talking about how they are competitors, and does he ever not smile?
No, he's a positive guy.
He's a great guy. He was so much fun talking to you yesterday.
He is. He's very easy to talk to, and he's positive, but he's realistic too. And in the press conference, Ron, yesterday, you heard him say, hey, this is going to be a really close competition between 2 teams,
right.
Iowa State and West Virginia. But he also told me, like we said in the opening, he said, hey, guys, to his team, what are you going to do? Are you going to be ready if Oklahoma starts making mistakes? So, you know, he has his eyes on the big picture, and he's got a young team, and they got a lot of things to look forward to.
Well, finished second last year's Big 12 championship. And let's go over to the bars. Oklahoma ranked 3rd in the NCAA. They have 4 individuals ranked in the top 15, and you can see led off by Mackenzie Wofford.
Yeah, and that's funny. I look at those standings. You know, Mackenzie's #2 in the country. She might not be the best bar worker on her own team. believe
scary,
it or not.
isn't it?
You know, you got Brenna Dowell right behind her, who's put up a 10 and does world-class gymnastics here as well. So I watched them warm up, and they were sticking landings, and we talked about how important that was. We'll see if that carries over into the competition.
And this is Rebecca Clark, the senior out of Blue Springs, Missouri. 3 straight meets. She has put up a score of 9.925, which is her career high.
Feet came apart a little bit on that first skill. It happened quickly, and the judges are on the side. I'm not sure if they saw it. It should be a deduction. Those past handstands, she was a little short on that first handstand. And there's one stuck landing. Not the biggest gymnastics you're going to see from Oklahoma on this event, but it was very clean. I saw maybe a couple little deductions in there, but a great start for the Sooners.
Well, you were talking to me yesterday what you look for, form and handstand, along with obviously the obvious sticking the landing. How about the form and the handstand? Did you like it?
Well, we saw one foot break right at the very beginning. And right here, that handstand's a little bit short. It's hard to see the angle from underneath there, but that handstand could be, depending on how the judges viewed it, could be a 10th off. Can't do that, especially as you get to regionals and nationals. That's going to be especially important.
We'll wait for Clark's scores to come up. We're going to keep it right here. This will be Keely Kamichek, the junior out of Naperville, Illinois, currently ranked 15th in the country. And when you talk to the coaches about Keely's career here, the thing they keep telling us is she has been rock solid.
And she is. You know, it's funny. I looked at her scores from the season. She's been in 10 meets, not one miss in all those 10 meets. But the funny part is I started looking at some of the other girls on Oklahoma's team, too. They've been in 10, 11 meets, and they haven't had any misses either. And that just shows you why they're where they're at.
Her best score was in the meet versus Florida. It was the first week of March.
Beautiful release move. There's a handstand. Shoot over to the low bar, right to the handstand. That's how you got to do it. Yeah, step on the landing. That'll be a 10th, but the rest of the routine, no form breaks. Handstands were very good. That's going to push that 9-9.
And looking at it one more time from underneath.
Here's the dismount. Full twist and double back. Really great position, good dismount, great position on the landing. And, you know, it's one of those cases where you just opened up just a little bit early with the legs. That's one she knows she wants. She was really trying to stick that.
Now Clark's score was a 9.900 as we head over to the beam. Here is Alexa Goldberg, the sophomore from Ivyland, Pennsylvania. The coaches call her the dark horse of the team coming into the Big 12. They like the fact she's competing in 3 events, can put up a lot of points.
She's one of those gymnasts that has that wow factor. When I say wow factor, meaning she can do some big gymnastics. Just a sophomore, so she's going to be important too in the next couple years. Remember, West Virginia also trying to recover from some early mistakes in their first rotation as well, much like Iowa State. And I got to say, it's tougher to go to beam after some mistakes than it is to go to floor. Good finish to that routine.
And she gets a hug from Coach Jason Butts. And high fives from everybody else. You know, she just really added the beam this year and has competed quite well in it.
Here's her dismount front flip with a full twist. Beam, you do not see a lot of big dismounts on beam. I was talking to the coaches about that before the meet. And bars, you see big dismounts, floor, obviously. But beam, they like to be safe. And they like to get to the end of their routine. They're not going to make some mistakes as they're just finishing. So a fairly simple dismount, but done well.
And we'll wait for Alexa Goldberg's score yet to come up. And while we have time, let's go back over to the bars. Mackenzie Wofford, the sophomore out of McKinney, Texas, just north of Dallas, Texas. She is currently number 2 in the NCAA on this event. And she was recruited as a bar specialist, to be honest with you, too. They liked her from the beginning.
I watched her work out on bars yesterday and today, and she's good. I mean, she's just clean, just solid form. big gymnastics, and it's just one of those gymnasts that makes it look so simple when you get up there. And that's the art of gymnastics, is doing really hard stuff and making it look easy.
Career high score, 9.975. She has 3 9.95s this season.
We talked about how Brenna Dowell was an elite gymnast. Mackenzie was also an elite level gymnast and a national team member a few years back. So she's got a pedigree as well.
Goldberg's score, by the way, on the beam, 9.675. And Mackenzie just about to get underway.
That's what I'm talking about. Look at her feet. They are perfectly glued together. Pointed toes even in the air on that release move. Oh! And that's a perfect handstand, but almost too perfect. You can see her fighting it in the arch. Another perfect handstand. And I watched her warm up, and she nailed every landing. Absolutely perfect. Just like that, until that little step to the side. And you'll see gymnasts do it all the time. If they're going to step, they like to turn to that judge real quick and try to cover it up. But she's going to get nailed on that dismount for that step. But the rest of the routine, here's the release. Look at her toes in the air. Usually when gymnasts do release moves, all they care about is catching the bar again. Or they don't care what they look like in the air. But she was perfect.
We have a second. You said almost too perfect. How can it be almost too perfect?
Well, she nailed that handstand, but she started to arch over the wrong way.
Okay.
And that's what I mean by trying to hit that handstand too perfectly. Almost cost her. And here's the dismount again, and she just sees the ground.
Oh.
And she's going to get a deduction for that, but that's a fun routine to watch.
I think our cameras caught her face and how disappointed she was. As we go back to the beam, here's Dea Hiley, the senior out of Pasadena, Maryland, from West Virginia. 4 women for West Virginia this season have all won on the beams. And they were very proud of the fact the first 3 meets this season, they didn't have anybody fall off the beam. They're not big on misses as far as beam is concerned.
And that's saying something. And one of the commonalities I hear talking to coaches throughout the years, they all say, if you're going to win, you got to win beam. And if you're winning beam, that's gonna put you ahead of a lot of teams.
Senior high score, 9.75 this season.
And we talked about West Virginia trying to make it to regionals and that 195 score. Just to put that in perspective, a 195 is an average of a 9.75 on all of their counting scores. So keep that in mind. As you see these scores come up and you think about West Virginia moving to the postseason, scores in the 9.75 and up help. Anything below that is going to hurt their chances.
And everybody knows what it's going to take to get that score. But even talking to some of the athletes yesterday, it didn't seem like there was any pressure on them. They were all very, very loose.
Yeah, they are loose, and that's how West Virginia is. I've seen them a couple of years now, and they are a very loose, relaxed team. I will add to that regional qualifying score, though. They don't have to get a 195. A 195 will guarantee them postseason. But they can go score below it, but you're opening yourselves up to other teams stealing that spot from you. So they don't want to let that happen. They want to earn it outright and leave no doubt as far as their qualifications.
And we are still on the beam with West Virginia.
Comes her acro through. A big pressure pass. Nice.
2 of 3 West Virginia's competitors both have the same score in the beam so far, 9.675.
Always challenging, full turn. So far, a very clean routine, really no wobbles, very confident as she moves through. You like to see a rhythm to the gymnast. You don't want to see a lot of herky-jerky. Obviously, wobbles are deductions, but there's a rhythm to it. And once they get in that rhythm, they like to keep it. Nice leap sequence there. That also fulfills the requirement. One thing to watch for on those leaps is they need to be a 180-degree split. So those legs need to be horizontal. Nice job from Dea. In regards to the all-around, that bodes well. We saw Caitlin Brown fall off the balance beam. Dea does not.
And look at it again.
very unique front to a jump. A lot of skills they'll do in combination like that, worth extra bonus. This routine will start at a 10, much like all the others. There's that front full again. Small hop, little form in the air, but in slow motion, it's easy to pick those things out. In real time, it's a little tougher.
Well, just a moment ago, Haley Skaman of Oklahoma, we talked about in the open, was on the bars, and you heard a collective gasp from the crowd, and we want to show you why you heard that. Currently ranked 11th in the NCAA in this event.
And right there, just a little too far away. That's called a Jaeger. And even the great ones have mistakes. And this is one of those gymnasts, Ron, that when I looked at her stats for the year, not one mistake, not one fall on any of the events. She does 3 events, floor vault, bars, not one mistake. And here we are in the conference meet, and that's a hard pill to swallow if you're Haley Skaman.
And, you know, in talking with the Oklahoma coaches yesterday, they were very impressed the fact that she has been so precise on the bars this season, and that happens. But now she's got to get back up and pick up the routine. So we've seen a couple of mistakes on the bars so far this afternoon.
Nothing a little spit on the grips can't cure.
Can't go outside and get dirt, you might as well spit on it.
And Jay Renane talked about how Caitlin Brown was mad after that beam routine. I can guarantee you Skaman is seething right now. Finishes well, but that is very disappointing. I talked to one of the assistant coaches, Tom Haley, after they warmed up bars in the warm-up earlier, and he said it was the worst bar warm-up they've had all year.
Wow.
And here's the release move. Those heels just didn't ride quite long enough. The heel drive before she does the front needs to ride a little bit higher before she lets go, and didn't quite do it. Yeah, he said it was their worst warm-up ever, but he also said you don't want to win warm-ups. You know, it doesn't matter, and I'm not sure if that was a carryover from a rough warm-up or it's just one of those things, and it's gymnastics for you. Well,
Haley Skaman's score was a 9.00, brings Oklahoma's total going up so far to 48.325 on the bars. As we look at their head coach, KJ Kindler, was Iowa State head coach from 01 to 06, 2-time National Coach of the Year, 8 times Big 12 Coach of the Year. Of course, she's trying to bring Oklahoma to their 4th straight Big 12 title. Nobody has ever won 4 in a row. What a job she has done with this program.
She's been amazing. She did a great job at Iowa State, too. You know, a program that wasn't really considered, you know, one of the juggernauts of women's gymnastics, and she did great things there. And here she comes to Oklahoma and just replicates it. She's got a great staff. You can see to her left, her husband, Lou Ball, associate head coach at Oklahoma, and then to the far right there is Tom Haley, one of the assistants. He's the main bar coach who I talked to before the meet started about their warm-up. But they've got a great staff, one of the best in the country.
Now let's check in on the floor. Caitlin Brown, the senior out of Apple Valley, Minnesota. We've seen her on the bars already this afternoon.
You'll like this little factoid, Ron. Her club coach, Brian Huff from Minnesota, went to club gymnastics with me. We actually carpooled together.
Oh, you did?
Which I guess makes me feel really old, but it's kind of a neat little tidbit.
But did he give you any scoop on her, though? That's a big key.
He did, actually.
Okay, good.
And this is kind of funny because you think the club coaches are just going to say wonderful things, and she is a wonderful kid, and he did say a lot of wonderful things. But the one thing he did say is she's the worst vaulter in the country. But she's come a long way, baby. She's worked hard at it, and she's not anymore. She's a great all-arounder.
And that was when the coaches were telling us about what she was like when she got there, and boy, she has really elevated her game since coming to Iowa State.
And she came in as a freshman. Obviously, she was the only freshman. Here she is the only senior. And it was a little odd to be the only freshman. Usually you have fellow freshmen to kind of to learn and gain experience with, but she was the only freshman. Took her a little while to kind of figure out where she fit in, but not that long. You know, by the time her sophomore year rolled around, she was rocking and rolling, and here she is, a really, really important part to this Iowa State Cyclone team.
And she is ready to go.
doesn't look big, but a very intricate, difficult skill. The thing I love about college women's floor exercise routines is they have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
You look at the elite level, and they seem to have that seriousness about them. But in college, they get out there and they show off. It's a show for them.
Even for her teammates that aren't competing, because a lot of them mimic the exact thing she is doing on the floor exercise, standing on the sideline.
Oh, yeah, all the teams do it. And it just, I think, adds to the theater of the event.
1 minute and 30 seconds long. That is how long this should be. And her teammates are watching.
Beautiful front 1.5 twist to a layout step out. Each gymnast has to do a pass that has 2 flipping skills in it. That one does fulfill that requirement. And the bad taste of balance beam, I think Caitlin Brown got it out of her mouth.
Well, you know, John, the coach told us that, hey, you know, she's a competitor. Watch how she comes back. I think she answered a lot of questions with this routine.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if she didn't finish this meet with 2 more hits. You see, that's the first pass, a double twisting front. Not an easy skill. You see a lot of double twists in the reverse direction, and those are easy, but frontwards, a lot more difficult. Here's the 1.5 twist to layout step out, perfectly done. Here's another look at it. There's that Caitlin Brown smile we like to see.
And she's going to wait for her score. Has not come up yet. So we got a second. Let's head back to the bars. Brenna Dow, the freshman out of Odessa, Missouri, ranked 8th in the NCAA in this event. Already has a score of a perfect 10 this season.
And you see 10s on vault, and you see them on floor more commonly. Bars is a tough place to get a 10 because of those handstand positions and the intricate skills that they have to do. Beautiful toe on to Tkachev. Perfect handstand position. And that was an extra circle around the bar. Not sure if the judges will take a deduction for that or not. She did not mean to do that. Full twisting double layout dismount. Incredibly tough dismount. I'll say it. It's the hardest dismount you're going to see on any event in women's college gymnastics. So tough.
Well, she's all Big 12 in 3 events.
Watch this. Here's her dismount again. We've seen the double layout, but we haven't seen any with a full twist. Makes it a little tougher, and that's, again, one of those skills where you're not going to get extra bonus for it, but you get perception bonus.
Talking to our own Kelly about this young lady, she said she has the wow factor.
Oh, gosh, she sure does. That 9.85, though, that's a disappointing bar rotation, I'm going to say, for Oklahoma. Even though it's great for a lot of teams, they're going to be disappointed with that.
Let's go back to the beam. Here is Beth Deal, the senior out of Parkersburg, West Virginia, has a team high score of 9.875 this year. That happened back in January.
She's a strong senior leader of this team. But I watched her warm up, and she had a rough warm up for the balance beam. We saw Oklahoma have a rough warm up in bars, and they had a rough bar rotation. Let's see if she can shake that off. Ooh. Close. Fights it.
As she finished second in this event of the Big 12 Championships last season.
Tough standing layout step out. Usually you see that skill out of a back handspring or some other kind of acro skill into it. Switch leap the sheep jump. Her team literally coming over the barrier over there on the right, willing her to a hit routine. And there you go. Beth Deal anchors the beam rotation for West Virginia. with a solid routine. I believe this is the layout step up. Oh, no, that's the dismount. Gainer full twist. Like a dart into that mat. Nicely done.
Now she finishes with a score of 9.700, second to her teammate, Jordan Gillette. She had the highest score amongst the six with a 9.775. And standing by with the West Virginia head coach, Jason Butts. Here's Kelly again. Kelly.
You must be so excited having such a great rotation. I know you're a numbers guy. You've been striving to get that magical number to secure a spot for regionals. How do you think you're faring?
I think we're doing pretty good. You know, we had some missed landings. We had a couple of bobbles on beam. You know, we need to go over. We need to make floor and vault count, and the team knows that. So, you know, we need that 195 too, and so that's what we're going to go to get.
So is a 49-1 on floor and vault conceivable for you guys, realistically?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done it a few times this year, so we can make it happen. We just have to be super clean. We got to stick some landings, but yep, that's our best two events, so we're going to go out there and make it happen.
Great. It'll be fun to watch. Good luck. Back to you, Ron.
All right, Kelly, thanks so much. He was telling us yesterday he's glad they end up on these final two events. Everybody's going after that trophy, the Big 12 champion. The third rotation coming up on the other side of the break. Absolutely beautiful campus in Norman, Oklahoma is the University of Oklahoma. I think if you've never made your way down here, you come down and see a bunch of history. You've got science, of course, the National Weather Service also located on this campus. Those of us that are addicted to the Weather Channel, we get a kick out of it. As we welcome you back inside of Lloyd Noble Center, let's take you through the standings after the first two rotations. As expected, Oklahoma, despite the bobbles, 98.60. West Virginia in second, Iowa State in third. Your thoughts now on West Virginia? We just heard Jason Butts talk about it, the 195.2. Where do they stand in relation to that, do you think?
Well, they have a 97. They need to get a 98 on the last two events, which means they need to average a 49. You heard Kelly in the interview. She had some numbers before we even did, mentioning the 49.1, and that would secure the 195.2. So it's doable. 49 is a 9.8 average, but again, floor and vault are two events where it's a little bit easier to do that.
And that young lady really bounced back on the floor exercise, and that was so impressive to watch from Iowa State. And now she is going to head over to the vault.
You know, just talking about Oklahoma real quick, that 98.6 for them, obviously they're clear of their two opponents here in this competition, but that's not a great score for them. They put up 198 multiple times this season, which means at the halfway point they'd be right at a 99, and they're off that pace. They struggled on bars, obviously with the miss, but also some of the routines they hit. They had some small deductions. We saw Brenna Dow get a 9.85. That's not a great score for her. I'll be honest. They gave away points where they absolutely are going to beat themselves up about it, and they're going to be doing some extra routines come next week's practice.
You know, they come in with a 14-0 record. 10 straight weeks, Oklahoma's been ranked number 1 in the NCAA. That's a first for OU history. Now let's get you into the third rotation, John, and we'll show you where everybody is going to be. The third of 4 rotations. Iowa State will be on the vault, balance beam, Oklahoma, floor exercise, the Mountaineers.
And the nice thing for Iowa State and West Virginia is they're done with balance beam.
Yeah, exactly. And let's take a look at the balance beam. The Sooners, their national rankings, they're ranked number 1. 49.750. That's the team high. Defending champion was Taylor Spears of Oklahoma. She was a 2-time champion, by the way. But Oklahoma comes in. They've got a lot of people ranked for Coach KJ Kindler.
I'm trying to not like chuckle because that's ridiculous.
It is.
To have you count 5 scores on an event. Every team counts 5 scores. They have 6 gymnasts go. They drop 1. They count 5. All 5 of their scores are top 10 in the country. That's just not fair. That's not fair.
Especially that event. To put it in perspective, Oklahoma has won or at least shared the beam title in the Big 12 every year since 2008. That's called domination, I think.
Yeah, they're good. This is KJ Kindler's event, too, and she takes great pride in dominating it. And I love that scene right there. You saw her talking to the gymnast. You will see that before every routine. And when KJ gets in a position, she'll be right down there at the end of the beam watching.
we have the opportunity with Oklahoma on the beam to maybe see a 10 in this competition. This is Malia Michek, the junior out of Naperville, Illinois. She says she wants to be first on the beam because she thinks she sets the tone for everybody else.
She absolutely does set the tone for everyone else, and that's the nature of being first up. Theoretically, you start with your lowest scoring routine and you build to your highest scoring routines. But even if you do drop that first routine, it sets up the next one, and those scores start to build, and you start to get on a roll. So this routine, arguably, could be the most important in the lineup. Keely's battled an elbow injury, but has worked her way back to all 3 events. Nice start for Oklahoma. So shaking off the rough bar rotation. Keely does a nice job, gets things started.
I think the rest of the team may take a little collective breath on this one. She wanted to set the tone. Here's the dismount.
Really, very few deductions in the routine. A tough dismount. The toughest one you're going to see tonight, a double back. We talked about gymnasts playing it safe. That is a not playing it safe dismount right there.
I have a funny feeling that this team doesn't play it safe on too many events.
No, they do big gymnastics, and that's why they're the co-national champions and trying to do it on their own this year.
Now, while we're waiting for the scores for Kanichek, let's go over to the vault. Here's Alex Marasco of Iowa State.
And she does a unique vault. The only one I've seen do this collegiately this year. There might be others out there, but it's a little different. It's a Yurchenko style, but then she does a turn onto the vault table. Watch carefully. Nicely done.
Very pretty.
Nails it. Kristen Maloney was talking to me about that vault, the assistant coach at Iowa State, and says the judges sometimes don't know what to do with it. She'll score a 9-9 one meet and a 9-6 another meet. There's another look at it. You see the turn onto the vault table, the Sukahara off. Jay Ronan likes it.
He loves it, and so should she. 9.775 for Marasco, the junior out of Omaha, Nebraska. Here's Haley Sorensen on the beam for Oklahoma out of the Woodlands, Texas. Currently tied for 9th in the NCAA. When you watch her compete, the thing that comes to mind, John, and correct me if I'm wrong, great flexibility for this young lady.
Yeah, absolutely. Watch her warm up a little bit, and that's the first thing that stuck out to me. A little bit different style than you'll see from some of the other gymnasts. She's a little taller, which gives a little bit different impression when she's up on the beam. I like it. I think it's a good thing. Little wobble there, trying to connect that front aerial walkover right into the back handspring. That wobble may break that connection. Again, that's why they're called judges. They make the judgment call on that one. There's that flexibility you're talking about. Heading into another gainer full dismount and another stuck landing.
Well, that's going to get a high five and a low pin from the coach, something as we talked about at the open of the show that they have worked on, and we'll look at it again.
I love this right here. Not so much as any movement on that. Steps forward, right into the gainer full. Haley comes out of Cypress Academy, which is in Houston, Texas, a gym club that produced also another great Sooner, Jonathan Horton, who competed for the men here, was a national champion for them and an Olympian.
I'll tell you, the Woodlands puts out some great athletes, not only in gymnastics, but diving. Laura Wilkinson, obviously a gold medal winner in the 10-meter platform, and was one of our broadcasters on the Big 12 Swimming and Diving Championships this year.
I know Laura well. We actually shared a big townhouse in Sydney. The divers were there and the gymnasts were there. It was pretty cool to see her win that.
Let's stay on the beam. Kara Lovon, the sophomore out of Des Moines, Iowa. One of 3 OU gymnasts tied for 9th, as you saw in the graphic earlier, getting last-minute instructions. And when you talk to the coaches about this young lady, they say consistent is the word you have to use for her.
And you can use that with a lot of Sooners, but she's definitely fits that bill. Hasn't had a fall all season on this event, which could be the jinx of all jinxes right there. But she's solid. I have no doubt she's going to stay on the balance beam right here.
Now, the last 3 meets, she has scored a 9.9 in each of them. The
talked about getting that 10.0, that ever difficult 10. And it's funny because to get a 10, it's not just the routine that the gymnast does, it's what builds up to that routine, because you're not going to go from a 9.8, 9.8, jump to a 10. Right. You need your teammates to start building those scores and get a couple 9.9s and then a 9.95. And then you need to go up and do a better routine than that 9.95 for them to throw the 10. Oh, and that was almost the first time all season Kara had a fall, but a nice save. However, that's going to be a significant deduction nonetheless. Recovers well, layout, step up, perfect. There's a combination again, the aerial walkover this time to a split leap. Should get the connection on that without too much trouble. She just looks a little bit off. A little bit off. I don't know if it was that early wobble kind of shook her up. This is not your normal Kara Loven. Nice dismount combination right there. Love it. Standing layout, step out right into a full twist dismount. Nailed it. They are 3 for 3 on stuck landings, however, even though they've had a little bit of a wobble on this routine. So your acro series, that was no problem. That was a piece of cake.
Well, I think you're right. That wobble early on may have got her a little off balance.
I think so, but there's the dismount. Beautiful. I love it. A little bit different. You don't always see those acro skills right into the dismount, but I like it because she could be a little bit off on that layout step out, and she's going right into the dismount, so it doesn't really matter. It can cover up a little bit of a flaw there at the end. However, that looked perfect.
And she will wait for her scores as we swing it out over to the vault. Here's Caitlin Brown again from Minnesota.
Ooh, big hop, and then an extra hop. And that was a great vault too, man. I mean, that's one where she's just coming out of the sky. I don't know what Brian Huff is talking about. She's a good vaulter. Gets a nice pop off the vault table. And right there, she pikes down. You can see her hips in the air. She pikes down a little bit, and right at that spot, she should have actually opened her hips up to slow that rotation, look for the ground. Probably would have stuck it.
Well, when you don't even run to your coach to high-five him, you can tell she was a little disappointed, maybe a lot disappointed. Caitlin Brown scored 9.70 in the vault.
Yeah, that's not a great score for vault, I got to be honest.
And coming after what she did on the floor exercise, too. Let's go to Haley Young. We talk about the young freshman on this Iowa State team. Here's a young freshman out of Des Moines, Iowa.
The coaches talk about her as the future Caitlin Brown. She's been awesome for them. Almost sticks it.
Now she trained at Chow's Gym in Des Moines, very famous gym, obviously.
Yep, produced Shawn Johnson, Gabby Douglas, Olympic champions. Little form coming off the vault table right there. Little hop on the landing. Right there, little form, little pike down too. A couple of these vaults, it looked like if they would just stretch it into the landing instead of piking it, they're gonna nail it.
Update you on Loven's score, 9.775 for Oklahoma on the beam, and Haley Young, 9.725 on the vault.
I know this is gonna sound harsh, but Oklahoma's struggles kind of continue.
Yeah, they are.
In events, scores where they're 9.7s, 9.8s, usually are 9.9s. That's not going to be okay with them.
No, not somebody that has been dominating the national rankings, but that man, I'll tell you, he's been the high and he's been the low so far today. It's been quite a roller coaster ride for him, but anytime you got freshmen, sometimes that happens.
Absolutely, and he did talk about that. You see a lot of great things, and you see some times when you're going to struggle, and that's part of the growing pains of having a young team. But they've got another event left, and they want to finish with an exclamation point on the bars.
Well, he talks about how this team still has so much to grow, and they're going to be doing it.
And it is a team that will be at the regional championships. Regardless of what they do here, their spot is solidified. They sit in the 30th spot right now, so they're not going to drop out of the top 36. Nonetheless, they want to have a great showing here, but that's great for them to go to the regionals in a couple weeks with that young team that's going to bode well for them as they go into next season as well. Get a taste of the postseason.
And we're just waiting for Oklahoma to explode with something. It has been a struggle so far today. We've seen some pretty good performances, but not what we would expect from Oklahoma. And you don't want to say it's nerves because they've already won a national title, you know, tied last year for the national title. We talked about their Big 12 accolades. Could it be nerves, John, you think?
You know, I don't think it is. You know, one thing, there's two things in play here. First of all, they know they're not going to get pushed by their opponents. And I don't mean that in a negative way to West Virginia and Iowa State because they're good teams. But sometimes you watch Kentucky in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and it's a little tough to get up for a team that you know you're going to beat. And I think that might be coming into play a little bit here too, but they've also been great this season for a long time. And when you do the same routines over and over and you do them great over and over, sometimes the edge, that little bit of fear that you need to have to stay sharp kind of fades a little bit. And I don't know if that's coming into play. I'm not going to make any assumptions, but those things combined might take a little bit of steam out of Oklahoma.
Well, here is Chase Capps out of Plano, Texas, tied for #1 in the NCAA in this event this season. And she can be dynamic.
That jump.
She's all Big 12 on the beam already this season.
Beautiful aerial walkover. I'll tell you what, if Chase Capps starts to have trouble, I'm going to start to worry. Because this kid, rock solid. Very nice. Leap combination right there. Also a requirement on beam. Nailed it.
Got it. That was probably for Oklahoma the most complete routine we've seen so far today.
Yeah, really, honestly, you saw some good bar routines early, but as far as start to finish, no mistakes, stuck landing round, I think you're absolutely right. Your gymnastics eye, man, it's there. I'm impressed.
It's hanging around the divers.
And I think they needed that. Oklahoma needed a little bit of perfection today because they've had some uncharacteristic struggles.
And we're going to go over to the floor exercise while we wait for her score. Alyssa Idle, a junior out of Newark, Delaware, on the floor. Has a team-high 4 wins on the floor this year and really has developed the last 3 years of her career.
And she's got beautiful floor exercise. Number 34 in the country on this event.
And a good look at her. You know, I love talking to the coaches. You know, give us words to describe her. And they said she's probably one of the more graceful gymnasts, probably the most graceful gymnast on this team. You know, you think that all the gymnasts are graceful.
Yeah, and it's not the case. You're absolutely right. You can see a distinct difference between some of these gymnasts. You know, we talked about from Oklahoma, Haley Sorensen, who was up on beam and her great flexibility, and she'd be definitely a graceful gymnast, but some of them are more powerful and dynamic, and you can still get to the 9, 9s, and 10s. There's just different ways to get there. And if you're graceful, you want to accentuate that.
Well, let's go to Capps and get a quick update on her score. How about a 9.975 that ties her career high? Best for Oklahoma so far today in the Big 12 championships.
And that's a perfect example, a 9.975. I didn't see a single mistake. I'm not sure where you could find any deductions, but when you have gymnasts before you that aren't getting the 9.9s and 9.95s, the judges just frankly aren't going to put up a 10. And that's probably where the difference was. But no one's going to sneeze at a 9.975, I don't think.
And you see that smile, and even talking to the judges, I said, saw a couple of them in the hotel today. I was talking to them, and they said, yeah, there are gymnasts that captivate us, that we just like. You know, you see the smile, you see the energy, and it does have a factor.
The judges are human beings.
Absolutely.
And you can absolutely make an impression on them that can make a difference. And maybe it's a quarter of a tenth. Maybe it's a half a tenth. But when you are fighting for a national title that you tied for last year, those things can make a huge difference. Or in West Virginia's case, trying to get into that regional championships in a couple weeks.
This young lady has an outstanding floor routine.
You know, I saw Melissa warm up, and she had tape on her ankle rod, and I looked over, and she was kind of limping a little bit on it, and she doesn't have tape on now. So, well, actually, she does. She's got some skin color tape, and I was wondering if that's going to slow her down or affect her. She seems to be not having a problem.
It's a great call. Haven't seen any indication that it is bothering her. Might see it here.
Nice job. I'm not sure if that last pass she did, a 1.5 twist. A lot of times you'll see gymnasts rebound into a leap skill or another flip. She didn't do that there, and that may be because of that ankle. Obviously, I'm speculating pretty heavily here, but all in all, very clean, very nice set.
Melissa Idell, very good job. Look at this pass again.
The 1.5 twist. Right there, a lot of times you'll see him bounce and do a split leap to avoid the landing deductions, which she had a little bit there. Looks like she may have been trying to be a little careful.
Well, a good performance, and we will wait for Idell's scores. They haven't popped up yet. Gives us a chance to swing back over to the beam. Eric Brewer, the senior out of Louisville, Kentucky. He is over on the beams for Oklahoma, one of the hardest workers on the team, and got quite an honor this year. She's an AAI finalist, which is given to the top senior gymnast in the country.
And that's a big deal. I looked at the finalists for that award, and it's the who's who of women's college gymnastics, and whoever walks away with it, it's going to be very deserving, because there's a lot of great gymnasts up for that. This one, Erica is one of them. Nice acro series, 2 layout step outs. High risk, high reward.
Last time on the beam versus Florida in their last meet, had a perfect 10 for only 10 of her career.
Straddle leap with a turn there. It looked like the split may have been a little short. Hard to tell from our angle, but that's where the gymnast can open themselves up for deductions. It's one of those deductions it's not obvious, but if you're the judge on that event, you're looking for it. Beautiful. And that, we talked about trying to build to 10. Again, I don't know where you find a deduction. If you don't have a 10-0 on your sheet, I think you're making something up, personally.
And let's go back to the last event of the rotation over on the floor. Thea Haley, the senior out of Pasadena, Maryland. Led off on the bars. Strongest floor worker on the team, they call her.
Ranked 30th in the nation on this event. Again, there's a lot of focus on that top 25, and obviously that's the cream of the crop, but women's gymnastics is so deep, and there's so many great gymnasts. I mean, really, if you're in the top 50 on an event, you're doing something. Beautiful mount, full twisting double back. Dea went to a gymnastics club during her junior career called Hills Gymnastics, and it produced a lot of great athletes, most notably Dominique Dawes, one of the greatest American gymnasts in history, an Olympic gold medalist from 1996. So she comes from a good background.
Has 3 wins on the floor already this season.
9/8 are the magic number for West Virginia. Remember that. But they're also trying to move up from that 3rd spot to number 2 in the Big 12 for the first time in their school's history. And this young lady trying to battle for that all around. Double pike, good dismount. Great job. That should be in that 9/8. We'll see what the judges do with it.
Well, she's up obviously for the all-around, very entertaining routine, outstanding facial expressions in the final pass.
It's a double pike. One of the harder dismounts you're going to be seeing not just tonight, but in collegiate gymnastics. Nobody really does much more difficulty at the end than that double pike. Nicely done. Dea trying to keep the all-around, the Big 12 all-around title in West Virginia. Hope Sloanhofer won it last year for them.
Well, quick update on Erica Brewer's score. Erica Brewer with a 9.975. Obviously, second one in a row. Oklahoma's coaches got to be happy, and KJ Kindler standing by with Kelly.
Coach Kindler, you have got to be thrilled with balance beam after a subpar bar rotation. Tell me, what did you say to the girls?
I didn't say a word because I like to keep them alone and calm before we do beam, and I didn't want their minds to go there. And you're right, bars was not our best for sure, but I'll call them the comeback kids because that rotation on beam was something special, I thought.
Well, you can tell that your training makes all the difference, or otherwise they wouldn't be able to do that. So would you consider it the training that you do with them to make them come back like they did?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're confident on beam. They know they're good. We do a lot of pressure sets, a lot of things like that. And so I think in a meet like this level of a meet, after coming off bars, they're like, we want to fix this problem we've got, and we're going to do it right now on beam. So I was proud of them.
Don't you expect a 10 from some of these girls at this point?
Of course. I mean, we'd love to see a 10. They did some pretty awesome routines there. A lot of stuck dismounts, no wobbles, and execution, I thought, is getting better and better every meet. So, yeah, we're hoping to see some of those down the road.
All right, thank you so much. Enjoy the last rotation. Back to you, Ron.
Thanks, Kelly. Of course, Caps and Brewer both with a 9.975 to wrap up the beam. We still have one rotation left. The all-around title is up for grabs. Will it be Caitlin Brown or Dea Haley? We'll have that from Norman after this. Along with Olympians John Roethlisberger, Kelly Garrison-Funderburk, I'm Ron Thulin, welcoming you back to beautiful Norman, Oklahoma for the Big 12 Gymnastics Championships. Oklahoma going after an unprecedented fourth in a row, and after 3 rotations, 1 to go, they have a commanding lead over the West Virginia Mountaineers. Iowa State currently in 3rd place. That is close, but there are still a lot of titles up for grabs, including the all-around. But let's go back to the beam, because just a moment ago we heard KJ Kindler of Oklahoma, as we look at the balanced scores, talking about how her team rebounded. We were talking about they had shaky performances. Why don't you just kind of take us through that?
Yeah, well, they came off the bars, which KJ admitted was rough. And then we're watching them on beam. They had some good scores early, but Carol Loven goes up and puts up a 9.775. And we're talking about how the struggles continue. But, man, did they get things together. Yeah. They nailed some great routines, and they end up putting up their season high on the event. So right when we thought, man, things are really not right for them tonight, they get it together quickly. And again, that's what champions do.
They were number 2 in the preseason schedule, went to number 1 in the country after the first week of the season. But what stands out when you break them down to me, John, the fact they have the number 2 strength of schedule behind Alabama, who's currently 8-3 on the year. And Alabama lost to Oklahoma, and they had to go to Alabama in front of 10,000 people. They won the event. I tell you, that's impressive when you can go on the road and do that.
It is hard to win gymnastics meets in somebody else's house, especially when that someone else is Alabama or a Florida.
Right.
They are great teams. They have that home crowd advantage, and we talked about the judges. They're impressed by a lot of elements, and when there's 12,000 plus screaming for the Crimson Tide, you go in there and steal one, that's big time.
Big time. Let's take a look at the final rotation. Iowa State will end up on the uneven bars where they wanted. Oklahoma, this is going to be so good, their floor exercise. And let's go to the vault. Here's Dea Haley of West Virginia.
We talked about Dea fighting for the all-around title. Great Yurchenko vault. Huge vault. My 2-year-old would say, that was ooge, Dad, that was ooge. That was. The only thing missing was the stuck landing, but look at the distance right here. Boom, pops it off the table. Almost flies out of your camera.
Wow.
You can see right from the run, really an aggressive run, and that's an important part of vault. Nice meet for Dea.
Absolutely, and of course she's still in the competition for all-around. Here is Chase Capps of Oklahoma on the floor. Has been inconsistent this year, but she was a competitive dancer. Her mom was her coach. Watching her practice yesterday, this is one of the more entertaining floor exercises you'll see.
Beautiful combination to finish a great routine.
Outstanding routine by Chase Capps. Oklahoma #2 in the NCAA in this event. That deserves a big hug and a high five. And looking at Chase Capps once again. Sophomore out of Plano, Texas. They've had a few good gymnasts out of Plano, Texas. I can think of one.
The state of Texas, I mean, I think the state of Texas could take on the rest of the country and probably win.
Yeah, we'll wait for her score. Update, by the way, Haley on the vault for West Virginia got a 9.775. And here is Sammy Pearsall, a junior out of LaGrange, Illinois, on the bars. Iowa State has been the most successful on bars. This is one of their biggest events. They've won 10 crowns over the years, including last season. Talking to Coach Shea, I said, why? And he goes, it's just good coaching.
Confident, I love it. Let's not forget the battle between Iowa State and West Virginia right here. It's very close after 3 rotations. Only a 1/10.5 separates them. West Virginia ahead of Iowa State. They want that second spot. That's not a small thing for them. Double layout, nice finish. She has that big, thick mat in there, though. That's a tough mat to stick your landing on. Chose playing it safe over trying to get that extra 10th. But a good hit set.
Sammy Pearsall getting high fives. Still waiting for Chase Capps' score on the floor as we go back again to the bars for the replay.
There's the double layout. Just cranks up those giants. Nicely done.
And they'll like that, as you mentioned, John. They're in just a heck of a battle right now with West Virginia. Let's go back to the floor. Here's Erica Brewer. This will be her last performance ever at Lloyd Noble Center. She'll be graduating in December with a degree in communication. I'm sure this is a very special performance for her.
Nothing like your last performance in your home gym. No matter what that gym is, it's special to you, especially after 4 years of competing. Last week against Alabama had kind of a scary wipeout on vault. Took her out of that competition.
Right.
But obviously she's bounced back. She's doing fine now, but scary moment for Oklahoma.
Coming into this event, they said she was questionable coming into the Big 12.
That double pike was not questionable. That was perfect. Nails it.
Erica Brewer. Our colleague Kelly calls her spunky. That's a pretty good explanation, and a perfectionist.
Take another look here. I believe this is the double pike. Great form in the air, too, and just nails it into the floor.
Let's check in on the vault with West Virginia. Here is Akira Mohammed, the freshman. We've already seen how powerful she is. I can't wait to watch this lady progress over the next couple of years for the Mountaineers.
They expect big things, they do, from her. Let's see if we can't finish her meet with a big stuck landing right here. Oh, not quite. Man, she's disappointed. You can see the look on her face. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to sound like a broken record. We've seen a lot of huge vaults, but not the stuck landings that they really should be having. For as good as the vaults are, these girls need to start pulling the parachute in the middle of that, opening up, look for the floor, and nail it. But you saw the power. It's going to be there.
Well, our current leader in the all-around competition is a freshman out of Des Moines, Iowa, and that is Haley Young. She has been solid on bars all year. 9.850, her best score.
And she does have a bit of a cushion, a little over 2/10 over Dea Haley for that top spot. So she can hit this clean. Nice landing. That was a little off there at the end. Oh, she opened the door. We saw Dea Haley earlier do a nice vault. She opened the door a little bit right there. That was not a super clean routine. Definitely had some clear deductions. It's in the hands of the judges now. Right here, too, the full turn over the bar. The feet come apart. It's flat, meaning it doesn't hit the handstand, and that big step on the landing, at least a 10th. The freshman with the Big 12 all-around title in her hand. And we'll see if it slipped through the fingers.
Well, don't forget that Dea Haley had a 9.775 on the vault just a moment ago. And now we are going to have to wait for Haley Young's score. And here is Jada Lawrence, the junior out of Rocky Hill, Connecticut. Has 4 vault wins this year, and they call her a world-class vaulter.
And she is a world-class vaulter. She competed for Jamaica at the World Championships. Oh, wow! Almost! And again, another great vault. Gigantic. Looked like she stutter stepped a little on that run. I don't know if that's her normal run, but it did not slow her down. She might be fighting for an event title with that vault. We'll see.
And here is Caitlin Brown of Iowa State as we head back to the bars. She has had an up and down meet so far. Nice standing floor exercise though.
Yeah, nice ganger there. A little bit of a foot break. Really took herself out of the all-around. It looked like she needed some help from her teammates coming in, or from the other all-arounders rather, which means they had to make mistakes for her to steal that all-around title. I don't think that'll be enough, but nonetheless, a good way for the senior to finish her Big 12 conference career.
We'll just kind of get some house cleaning out of the way as you take a look at her once again. Caitlin Brown.
This is a great angle to see this too. There's the handstands we're talking about. Little flat. Nice double back though. And a nice stuck landing.
Well, her teammate, Haley Young, got a 9.725 on the bars. And for West Virginia on the vault, Jada Lawrence, 9.850.
And that score for Haley Young, I believe, without going to the mainframe computer, I think that's going to be enough for her to win the all-around. But we'll let this thing play out. That may be her first conference title for the young freshman.
And we look at Brenna Dow. Outstanding tumbling skills. And when you watch Oklahoma, one of the things that KJ Kindler has really worked on with her gymnasts, getting more personalities into their routines. During practice, the entire team just surrounds the mat. And the gymnast has to look at each one. And when they do, they sit down. And they have to make sure everybody is down. She really wants you to make eye contact with everybody while you're in this great personality.
Yeah, I like that. And it makes you aware a little bit of what's happening around you and being a showman. And Brenna Dow, they describe her as somebody who can do every trick in the book. But college gymnastics is about execution. Boom!
Nailed that.
Beautiful double front. Want to talk about somebody needing to come out of their shell and not be so reserved, it would be Brenna Dow. She comes right out of that elite program where, quite frankly, they're a little more serious, but when you come to college, you need to express yourself. And I think that's something they've worked on with her, and I think it's something that she's improved upon greatly just in this first year.
And a 9.95 versus Florida this year in this event.
Her club program she came out of was the Great American Gymnastics Express Cage in Missouri, another program that's produced numerous national team members and Olympic medalists. You can tell she likes to front tumble. Beautiful routine.
And the big smile. Brenna Dow, just a freshman. Oklahoma, like their football team, just reloads.
And it's funny, you saw KJ's face, and she may not have been thinking this, but that looks like one that says, man, I'm glad she's on my team.
She probably says every time she looks at everybody on her team.
There was that double front. I love that. You don't see that very often, and she does it about as good as I've seen any gymnast do. Your last pass combination, front layout to front full.
Now we'll wait for her scores, and we have a chance to catch up with Hillary Green, the freshman out of Madison, Alabama. Over on the bars, 9.90, her season high, also her career high. This is another bright young gymnast for the Cyclones.
And I watched her work out on bars before this competition, and I just love the way she swings. She's got great technique, but she's also aggressive. Beautiful release move. She attacks the apparatus. Just the dismount, double layout. Oh, just the step. Nice job for the freshman. Jay Ronayne has got to have a smile on his face watching this girl do gymnastics. She is going to be big time for them in the years to come. Here's the release move. It's the front catch for the Geiger. Nice. I thought this was going to be a stuck landing for sure. She does it so well. Beautiful double layout.
3 of the 6 athletes that competed for Iowa State of the bars, freshmen. As we go to Allie Jackson, currently 9th in the NCAA. On the floor, absolutely loves dancing, and the coaches said you will see it in her performance.
And every time the coaches talked about this young lady, they had a smile on their face. Yeah. They love her. She is so athletic. There you go, pike full in. Hold that pose just an extra second there, AJ. Show it off. And she's also an incredibly tough gymnast, they said. She, against Illinois, hit her knee on her forehead on the balance beam, split open her forehead, 15 stitches. She was back in the lineup the next week. Amazing.
The dancing skills. You can see her teammates going through the whole thing behind her.
Having a good time. One more pass. One more pass. This is going to be another big score for OU. Little step back there. However, that was a fun routine. Teammates love it.
The personality was there, the dancing was there, and now the high fives are there. And look at it again.
There's the pike full in. I love that skill. It's a tough skill, too, because it's really hard to stick the landing. You see, she had a little step back there, but all in all, pretty clean. Big double pike at the end. She got enough energy to just go around the whole arena, I think, man. That was fun.
Now we'll wait for her scores. Quick update on Hillary Green. She got a 9.725 on the bars. And there is our defending champion. Haley Skaman got a 9.950 last year. 5th in the NCAA this season, already has a 10. And what really stands out, last year her music was powerful, it was intense, it was dramatic. And the coach said, we're going to change it up a little bit. She picked out the song, which you will hear. KJ Kindler says, I wanted a little more playful, a little more personality into it. And of course, Miley Kaneva of Oklahoma was 2nd in this event last season, and unfortunately she had a knee injury. She is out. Big loss for the team, but here is our defending champion. What do you expect from her? There is Miley right there. It's been frustrating for her to watch.
She's definitely been missed on floor and vault. What do you expect from Haley Skaman? She's set the bar very high. I expect a 10, Ron. Nothing less is going to make me happy. I don't know about you.
Now, she is a perfectionist who has great skill.
had one of her rougher floor routines last week against Alabama. Struggled with her landings a little bit. And that is beautiful gymnastics.
You mentioned that she had a 9.625 in the meet.
And that's a disaster for Haley Skaman.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that double layout mount was big. I'm very curious. She was very close to going out of bounds, out back a little bit. But you can see why she is capable of that 10.0. Huge tumbling and great dance. Her artistic impression, for lack of a better term, has really, I think, made great strides since I saw her as a freshman. She's really improved that part of her performance, and that makes a difference.
Solid. Haley Skaman, the defending champion.
And after that bar routine, you know she wanted to go out on that floor and just put a little exclamation point on it, make up for that mistake, and finish on a great note. Try to win another individual title here at the Big 12 Championships. There's a double layout.
You're
and
right,
it's just
close.
Yeah, it's so big, and she's coming down from so high. You really have to absorb that landing. And there's springs in that floor, so it's tough to kind of control it. Finishes with a nice double tuck. Not going to be the 10.0 we wanted, Ron, but nonetheless, one of the best routines you're going to see.
Now, Oklahoma has already clinched the team title. Haley Skaman, will she clinch the title in the floor exercise? Outstanding performance. By the way, Jackson, she got a 9.925 on her floor exercise from Oklahoma. We still have a lot to talk about. We've got the final results, not only for the team, but the individuals and the all-around. We have the ballot. It is in, but we're not going to tell you until we come back. The 2015 Big 12 Gymnastics Championships are now part of history. We talked at the top of the show about Oklahoma going after an unprecedented fourth consecutive Big 12 title. As we take a look at the final standings, they have done just that. 197.875. West Virginia ends up second. Iowa State third. And the winning coach, KJ Kindler, standing by with Kelly right now. Kelly.
Coach Kindler, you have got to be thrilled after the first couple of rotations. Tell me, what are your thoughts going in, winning the championships?
Well, first of all, we had 3/4 of a great meet. That's what I told the team at the end. Bars just wasn't there for us, but I love the way they came back. That was our best floor performance from top to bottom of the year, meaning every single person was putting their best out there, I think. And we've always had one little glitch in our floor lineup all year long, and I think we start out a lot stronger on vault. So there are a lot of good things to pull from this meet, but we still want to be a whole team, not 3/4 of a team.
That's right. Do you feel the girls were nervous compared to maybe the last time they competed here? They were so hot in this building. So do you think they were maybe put pressure on themselves for today?
I think championship meets bring pressure, so championship season brings pressure. And so they have to be ready for that. This was like a warm-up. And, we have NCAA regionals and hopefully NCAA nationals ahead of us, and this is a great practice for that. It's just a little different feeling than those regular season meets.
Tell us about the balance beam. You mentioned it was 1/10 lower than your highest score. So you're so known for balance beam. Do you take that for granted?
No, I don't think we take it for granted. I think every time every athlete goes out there and nails, I feel blessed, to be honest with you. Balance beam is such an event of nerves, and I love the way that they handled themselves up there. We weren't perfect tonight, but we were darn good.
You're right on that. So congratulations on your title once again. And also we have another exciting young lady. Haley Young was unexpected to win the Big 12 all-around titles only as a freshman. Tell us, what was your thoughts? Were you expecting this?
No, not at all. I was like, this is my first conference championship ever. I honestly wanted to come in and hit 4 for 4, and that's all I could ask myself to do, and winning was just crazy. I never expected that.
So in training, you don't ever pretend to yourself like, wow, this is it. I'm the star. I just won the Big 12 championship. You don't prepare in advance like that during practice or maybe in your dorm room?
No, not at all. Actually, our senior, Caitlin Brown, she is the gymnast I want to be. I look up to her so much. I never see myself as a star. I see her as a star. I see all of our upperclassmen as stars because they've been here and they've done it. And I look up to every single thing that they do and the way they work in the gym. And honestly, it's all them.
Congratulations on your first Big 12 championship. Hope to see it again. And we'll be back. Ron, John, love to hear from you now.
All right, Kelly, let's take a look at the final results for the all-around competition. Haley Young, as you have heard, won it. And Dia Haley ends up second. Caitlin Brown third. Tough start, though, for Caitlin Brown. Your thoughts about the all-around?
Yeah, you know, the freshman breaks the heart of the seniors a little bit and stealing this all-around title. And you know, you can do ifs and buts. You know, if Caitlin stays on beam, she wins this. And Dia Haley had some spots where she could have done better too. But you know, it was interesting to hear Haley say how much she looks up to the juniors and the senior on her team, because there's only one senior, and it just shows you how important that role is for Caitlin to lead the way for that youngster who's going to be the next star of that team and is going to, if Iowa State's going to make it to the national championships eventually and contend for Big 12 titles and for national championship titles, it's going to be on the shoulders of gymnasts like Haley.
Well, we still have a lot to talk about. One of the questions we brought up at the top of the show, will West Virginia get into the regionals? We need to talk about that. Plus, we also want to tell you how Oklahoma dominated the individual results. And we will have all of that and much more when we return to Norman, Oklahoma at the 2015 Big 12 Gymnastics Championships right after this. Oklahoma. People don't usually drive that fast, I can guarantee it. It just looks that way. Hello, John Roethlisberger, Kelly Garrison, Vanderberg, I'm Ron Thulin. Good to have you back. Hope you've enjoyed our competition tonight as they're handing out the hardware down on the mat. But we've got a lot still to talk about, and I think obviously when you look at the individual results, it was a total domination by Oklahoma. I mean, the individual titles are all handed out. Let's go to the beam, first of all, because on the beam, OU took the top 5 spots, John. You talked at the beginning. That's just not fair sometimes. Yeah, no, it's the event that coaches say if you want to win big, you got to win beam. And Oklahoma continues to do what they've done all season long. They're ranked #1 in the country. And I had my stats a little bit off earlier. I said that they had their highest of the season, nonetheless, but they were at 1/10 behind that high, and what a great rotation, even with a little wobble from Kara Loven in there, who was the only one not to get in the top 6. Shame on you, Kara. What are you doing? No, extra laps tomorrow. We'll talk about the top 5. How about the floor exercise? Because, again, Oklahoma swept the top 5 with Brenna Dow winning the overall title, 9.950. And that event for Oklahoma's got to the point where they're not going to miss routines. They're just flat out not going to fall down in their tumbling passes. It just comes down to whether they are going to stick their landings. And they're going to always score a 49.6 or 7. It's just going to come down to how many landings they stick. Well, Caitlin Brown of Iowa State kind of kept Oklahoma from sweeping the bars because she finished second, but OU still had the top 4 scores in the bars. Yeah, it's good to see Caitlin Brown in there. And, yeah, Oklahoma struggled a little bit on this event. We saw Skaman have a fall, and that was unfortunate for them. But a great thing for Caitlin Brown, her senior year, she wins a Big 12 rather conference individual title. And the final individual result, Allie Jackson of Oklahoma, she takes the top number in the vault as OU again. 5 in the top 4 places. They just dominated the vault. Yeah, and that's great. It's good to see her win an individual event title, and we've seen some of their young gymnasts in the past, you know, make their mark at the Big 12 championship and go on to big careers. I have no doubt Allie Jackson, she's one. I gotta put a highlighter on her because I think she's going to be great to watch, and I can't wait to see what she does in the years to come. Well, Oklahoma wears T-shirts. It says earned, not given. They earned it tonight. Their 13th conference title, 7th under KJ Kindler. We'll wrap things up for Norman on the other side of the break. Oklahoma wins it, and that's our own Kelly Garrison Vanderberg on the right-hand side of the OU, and she's standing by now with some of the OU gymnasts. Kelly.
How exciting. Yes, I have Brenna Dow here, champion of the floor exercise. Brenna, as a freshman, tell me, what were your thoughts going in? Did you expect to win floor?
No, I was coming in hoping to do a really great routine just to help out the team, and I ended up doing a good one, so that was exciting.
And AJ, you know what? Coach Kindler calls you the next superstar. How do you feel about that, with knowing that going into vault, you know, that did you expect to be a champion, the champion?
No, I didn't. It was a really good vault for me. Like, I almost stuck it. It was just the best vault I've competed so far this year.
So you've noticed that the training and all those drills has made a difference in helping you stick your landings?
Oh, yes, definitely.
That's great, because I'm sure you're going to be doing a few more of those. Also, we have Erica Brewer. Erica, so excited that you are back. Was really worried, you know, for the team aspect. So were you nervous coming back for tonight's competition?
No, I wasn't nervous. I mean, a little bit nervous, but in a good way. But I was just so ready to get back out there. It's really hard to sit back and watch, so I really wanted to participate, so it was fun.
Now, did your shoulder give you any trouble at all?
Hold on.
Oh, how about that? She was winning so many accomplishments, she had to go up to the award stand.
That's okay, Kelly. That's okay, Kelly. We're going to let her do that because we have some business still to talk about, because Jason Butts, the head coach of West Virginia, came in, John, needing a 195.2. They end up 195.025. Will they advance to the regions?
And we say he needed a 195.2 to guarantee that regional spot. He could score less than that and still make it. And I think that 195 is going to be enough. There's other teams in the country that are going to have to go big to knock them down out of that top 36. They sit in that 33rd spot that we talked about. And I don't think they're going to move down 3 or 4 spots. And but besides that, hey, they did something that West Virginia's never done.
Right.
They moved up from that 3rd spot to number 2, which is a big deal for them.
First 2 years in the Big 12, they finished in that 3rd spot. But what we saw not only from Oklahoma winning, but also from Jason, West Virginia, and from Iowa State, we saw a lot of freshmen that they haven't even scratched the surface as far as competing on the collegiate level. You mentioned it a little bit, going from club to college. You think that's an easy jump. It really isn't. I'm anxious to see how these young ladies up their game next year.
I am too. I think that bodes well for West Virginia and Iowa State, and that's what they're going to have to do if they want to catch the likes of Oklahoma. They're going to have to start to bring in that talent and not just work hard with the girls over a 4-year period. They got to bring in kids with the skill level to get up there and hit bigger teams and hit 9.9s and 9.95s, and clearly that's what they're starting to do.
Well, we have just a few seconds. Your thoughts about Oklahoma moving on right now, trying to go after their 2nd national championship. And we heard what Coach KJ talked about. Hey, you're coming to these tournaments, it's a good chance.
I think they're looking good. Even though they had some mistakes, I think it might be a good thing. It puts them on point, forces them to get sharp.
All right, congratulations to the Oklahoma Sooners. They win it again. For John Roethlisberger, Kelly Garrison, Vanderberg, I'm Ron Thulin. Thanks so much for watching. You've been watching the Big 12 Gymnastics Championships on Fox.